school students had been stranded for almost 3 months on a lonely island in the middle of the ocean. They had no way to contact anyone, and there was no boat to escape. Back at school, they barely even talked to each other. But on that deserted beach, they were forced to do things together that they never imagined in their lives. The story begins with a girl named Emma. Emma was one of the best and most popular students in her school. She was serious about her studies, school activities, and her future. Her dream was to study at Princeton University, and she never missed a chance to improve her school record. In the same school, there was a boy named Dean. He was completely different from Emma. Dean mostly stayed alone, didn't care much about school rules, and didn't get along with people easily. His father, Jack, tried his best to handle him, but Dean kept his distance from him too. Emma's closest friend at school was Lizzie. Lizzie knew Emma had a small crush on Stephen, one of the popular boys, so she often teased her about it. One day in class, their teacher, Mr. Christensen, announced that a group of students would be taken to Trinidad for a week. They would work on a social project and learn about the local culture. Emma was excited because this trip could help her school record even more. Dean was also part of the group, though he wasn't interested in going at all. During lunch, Emma noticed Dean cutting an apple with a small knife. A teacher saw him and scolded him for bringing a knife to school, then took him to the principal's office. Lizzie joked that maybe Dean's father used his influence to get him back on the trip again. The next morning, all the students gathered outside the school. Dean still didn't want to go, but Jack convinced him that he shouldn't waste this chance after being allowed on the trip again. Dean reluctantly got on the bus, and soon the whole group reached Trinidad. At the hotel, the teachers told everyone they could rest for the day, but their project would start the next morning. Most students went to have fun at the pool. Emma stayed with her friends and Stephen, while Dean watched everyone from the balcony, alone. That evening, Lizzie told Emma that some students were going to party on a local boat nearby. Stephen was going too. Emma refused at first because the party wasn't approved by the school, but after her friends insisted again and again, she agreed to go. Dean also ended up at the party. Loud music was playing and most students were dancing and drinking. Emma was looking for Stephen. After a while, she saw him kissing another girl. Her mood completely crashed, and she started walking away. Dean, who was standing nearby, saw her and said, "The guy you came here for is having fun with someone else." Emma was already upset. Emma snapped at Dean and told him she didn't need him interfering in her life. They were still arguing when suddenly a police boat arrived. The police had received a report that underage students were drinking and using drugs at the party. The officers ordered everyone to gather at the front of the boat. Chaos broke out, and in the middle of all the pushing and shouting, Emma slipped. She fell straight into the ocean. Dean saw her fall and immediately jumped in after her. He swam toward Emma and somehow managed to pull her onto a small dinghy floating nearby. The dinghy was tied to the big party boat with a rope. Dean climbed in too. He was scared that the police would get him in trouble for carrying a knife and for everything else he had done. So he quickly took out his knife and cut the rope connecting the dinghy to the big boat. Emma asked him why he did that. Dean said that once the police left, they could use the paddle to get back to the main boat. But the party boat kept drifting farther and farther away. Dean tried to start the dinghy, only to realize it didn't even have a motor. They had just one small paddle, and the ocean waves were getting stronger. Within minutes, a heavy storm began. Huge waves slammed into their tiny boat. Emma and Dean held on tightly, but in the darkness they couldn't see where the ocean was carrying them. After drifting all night in the storm, morning finally came. When they opened their eyes, there was nothing but ocean in every direction. The party boat was nowhere to be seen. Dean's phone had been ruined by the water. He checked Emma's phone, but there was no signal at all. Emma blamed Dean, saying that if he hadn't cut the rope, they would still be safe with everyone else. Dean refused to admit his mistake and told her to calm down. He believed that once the party group realized they were missing, someone would come looking for them. While they were talking, Emma noticed land far away. Dean used the paddle to steer the dinghy toward it. Near the shore, waves were crashing against sharp rocks, and one wrong move could flip their boat. After a lot of effort, they finally reached the edge of the island. As soon as Emma stepped onto land, she checked her phone again. Still no signal. While searching the dinghy, Dean found a flare gun and kept it with him. They hoped there might be a village or hotel on the other side of the island, so they started walking through the forest. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, the truth about the previous night's party had come out. The teachers began taking attendance. Lizzie told them Emma hadn't returned since last night. She had assumed Emma was staying in another friend's room, so she didn't report it earlier. Once attendance was complete, they realized Dean was missing too. Police began questioning the students who were on the party boat. Some of them had seen Emma fall into the water and Dean jump in after her, but no one saw them return to the boat afterward. Now the police suspected that the two of them were lost somewhere in the ocean. This news reached both of their families. Emma's mom, Barbara, her dad, Phil, and Dean's father, Jack, rushed to the school as soon as they heard the news. They demanded answers from the principal and the teachers, but no one knew which direction Emma and Dean had drifted in the ocean. A search operation was launched immediately. Meanwhile, Emma and Dean kept walking through the forest for hours. Along the way, they found a waterfall and a small pool of clear water. Dean liked the spot and asked Emma to take a picture of him. Emma got angry. She said they weren't here to enjoy a vacation. If she didn't finish her project and return on time, her entire future plan could fall apart. Dean told her that right now, surviving was more important than any university. They reached the other side of the island, but there was nothing there except endless ocean. No houses, no boats, no people. They had no choice but to return to the place where they had left the dinghy. By evening, they reached the beach again, but the dinghy was gone. The tide had carried it away. Only a single life jacket was lying on the sand. Now they understood they were completely trapped on the island. The sun was setting, and staying inside the forest at night wasn't safe. Dean gathered dry wood near the beach and started a fire. Emma was shivering, so Dean took off his shirt and gave it to her. They sat near the fire, hoping that the search team would find them by morning. The next morning, Dean woke up and saw that Emma wasn't there. He went looking for her and found her on the beach, arranging sand and big pieces of wood to spell out SOS. Emma said that if a plane or helicopter passed overhead, they might see the sign and realize someone was stranded on the island. After that, they focused on their basic needs. Thanks to the waterfall, they had clean drinking water, but they still needed food and shelter. Dean brought large leaves and wood from the forest. Emma helped him, and together they built a small hut near the beach. After some time, they found bananas and other fruits. Dean tried catching fish from the ocean, while Emma made the SOS sign even bigger. In the beginning, they argued about almost everything. Emma wanted to spend all their time preparing rescue signals. Dean believed their first priority should be figuring out how to survive for a long time. As days passed, Emma realized Dean wasn't just a careless school troublemaker. In tough situations, he stayed calmer than her and knew many things that were actually helping them survive. Dean also saw Emma differently for the first time. She complained a lot, but she still helped with every task. One day, Emma was alone near the waterfall collecting water. Suddenly, she felt something move behind the bushes. It seemed like someone was watching her. Scared, she ran back to the hut and told Dean everything. Dean said it could just be a small animal, but Emma was sure there was someone else on that island besides them. Meanwhile, the search teams were scanning a huge area of the ocean looking for the two students. The police even found their small dinghy, but no one was inside it. Emma and Dean's parents kept pressuring the authorities to continue the search. Jack suggested hiring a private helicopter because he felt they couldn't rely only on the official search anymore. Time kept passing on the island. Because of the heat, Emma cut her full-length pants and turned them into shorts. They also made their hut stronger than before. At night, they slept inside the same shelter. In the beginning, Emma kept her distance from Dean, but now she actually felt safer when he was around. One evening, they walked deeper into the forest. Suddenly, they saw a human skull lying on the ground. Emma froze in fear. She believed that this person must have been stranded on the island just like them and died waiting for help. Terrified, she said that the same thing could happen to them if no one came to rescue them. Dean tried to calm her down. He reminded her that their families and the police were searching for them. And besides, they weren't completely alone. They had each other. Just then, they heard the sound of an airplane in the sky. They ran toward an open area. Dean searched Emma's bag for the flare gun, but it wasn't there. They turned everything upside down but couldn't find it. They ran to the beach, waving their hands and shouting, but the plane was flying too high. Within seconds, it disappeared from sight. After so many days, help had come so close, but they couldn't signal it. Emma broke down crying. She felt certain that no one was ever going to save them now. Dean tried to comfort her. In that emotional moment, both of them finally admitted their feelings for each other. And that night, their relationship became more than just friendship. The next morning, Emma woke up and saw that Dean wasn't in the hut. After losing the plane, she was already scared, and now she feared Dean might have left her alone. She called out his name and walked into the forest. A little ahead, she found Dean digging a hole in the ground. He was preparing a grave to bury the skeleton they had found. Emma hurried toward him, but she slipped and hurt her knee. Dean immediately came to her, took her to the waterfall, and cleaned her wound. There, for the first time, Dean told Emma about his mother. When he was a child, he was traveling with her in a car. Because of a small mistake he made, his mother got distracted from the road and the car crashed. She died in the accident. Even though Dean was just a kid, he still blamed himself for her death. That guilt made him distance himself from people. He didn't want to get close to anyone because he felt he only brought pain to others. For the first time, Emma understood Dean's real struggle. A little while later, it started raining. To lighten the mood, Dean began playing in the water and Emma joined him. They danced together in the rain. After that, they buried the skeleton respectfully. Days slowly turned into weeks. Outside, the search operation was still going on, but none of the teams were able to reach the correct island. After almost a month, the authorities started believing that it was impossible for Emma and Dean to survive for so long. The official search was stopped, but Barbara and Jack refused to give up. They flew over several islands and hired helicopters, handed out missing posters, and asked nearby fishermen for any information. Even after all their efforts, they found no clues. Jack told Barbara that they had done everything they possibly could, but Barbara still believed her daughter was alive. On the island, many weeks had passed since Emma and Dean had last been connected to the outside world. They had created a routine for themselves. One evening, Dean told Emma about something called the green flash. His mother used to say that sometimes, just before the sun completely disappears behind the horizon, a quick green light appears for a moment. Dean had never seen it in his life. The two of them watched the sunset together for many evenings, hoping to see it, but the green flash never appeared. For the first time, both of them were far away from school expectations and their old problems. Still, Emma wasn't ready to give up hope of returning home. She missed her parents and her little sister terribly. One evening, they were watching the sunset again. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, a sudden green light flashed for a moment. Dean realized this was the green flash his mother had told him about. He stared at the horizon for a long time. Emma sat beside him, and for the first time, Dean felt happiness instead of pain when thinking about his mother. A few days later, they were collecting fruits in the forest when they heard the sound of a large animal. Dean took out his knife and moved forward. Emma tried to stop him from going alone, but Dean told her to stay near the hut. For a while, there was no sound. Worried, Emma went into the forest after him. She heard growling and Dean shouting. She ran toward the noise. A little ahead, she saw Dean lying on the ground. His hands and clothes were covered in blood, and a large wild panther lay dead nearby. The panther had attacked him, and Dean had to fight it off with his knife to save his life. Emma rushed to him and checked his injuries. Thankfully, Dean wasn't seriously hurt. Meanwhile, life at school and in their families had slowly started moving forward. Emma's friends had begun to accept that she might never return. On the island, Emma and Dean also stopped waiting for rescue and started preparing to live there long term. They learned how to hunt, catch fish, and strengthen their shelter before bad weather. One day, Emma started feeling sick and began vomiting. Dean panicked and asked if she might be pregnant. Emma said no. Dean guessed that maybe the fish they ate last night was spoiled because it had smelled strange. After some time, they were resting inside their hut. Suddenly, some of their missing items started falling from above. They looked up at the tree. It turned out that the thing Emma had sensed earlier, the feeling of someone watching her and their belongings disappearing again and again, was because of that monkey. It was the one stealing their things. In its hand was the same flare gun that had mysteriously gone missing on the day the plane flew overhead. Emma picked up a banana and held it up. The monkey threw the flare gun down in exchange for the banana. Right at that moment, they heard the sound of a helicopter in the sky. Without wasting a single second, both of them grabbed the flare gun and ran toward the beach. It was a sightseeing helicopter passing near their island. Emma loaded the flare gun and fired it into the sky. A bright red flare shot upward. The pilot noticed the light and turned the helicopter back toward the island. Emma and Dean waved their hands excitedly. After nearly 3 months, someone had finally seen them. Within minutes, a rescue team landed on the island and helped them into the helicopter safely. When they returned home, their parents, friends, and even media reporters were waiting at the airport. Barbara hugged her daughter tightly the moment she saw her. Phil and Stacy cried with relief seeing Emma alive. Jack finally breathed freely when he saw his son. Dean had always kept his distance from his father, but this time he walked forward and hugged him on his own. Back home, everything felt strange to Emma. That night, Dean came to visit her. They talked privately about how different the world felt after living on the island for so long. Dean moved closer to Emma, but Emma stopped him. She told him her parents were checking on her every few minutes, and with that scene, the movie's story comes to an end.